This is Tamara from shelfaddiction.com, and welcome to another special live episode. We're here live today reviewing and recapping the latest episode of The Walking Dead Season 8. Whether you're listening live via Shelf Addiction or Spreaker, leave us a comment. We would love to hear your thoughts on last night's episode. If you enjoy live episodes, go ahead and share this on Twitter right now. Show your support by rating the podcast and leaving a positive review on Apple Podcast or your listening app of choice. Joining me today is PCS co-host, fellow TV junkie, and indie author Lisa Orban. If you're listening to this episode after we're off the air, you can still leave a comment. You can also find me on Twitter at Shelf Addiction. You can also find Lisa on Twitter at Lisa Orban Author. If you'd like to email in feedback or questions, feel free to reach out to me at info@shelfaddiction.com or leave an internet voice message via SpeakPipe. The link is below in the show notes. Hey, Lisa. Yay! Yay!
Hello! How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you doing?
Aside from the snow, not too bad.
Yes.
Not like in the snow.
Oh, I bet you aren't. I mean, come on, it's April 2nd. Who wants snow on this ground? No one.
We got 8 inches of snow on April 1st. I'm like, okay, fine, Mother Nature. April Fools. We get it. Now, can I have spring?
Oh, I know. Oh, I mean, I understand, but thankfully for us, it was near 50 degrees today. It still felt chilly, but I think it was like 46 on my dash when I was driving home, which was pretty dang on good for this time of year for me. But, it's gloomy, so
I know.
Yeah.
So what did you think of last night's episode?
Okay, so at first I thought, like, high level, I'm like, wow, this episode is kind of boring. But then I started kind of like dissecting like the things that were going on. And even though like overall this episode really wasn't much movement in the plot, it was a lot of things uncovered.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real quick, did you notice the throwback moment to season 2?
Which one?
Where they found Henry, that's where Rick put Carol's daughter to hide.
Yes. I did, and I thought about that. I'm like, wait, is that where Carol's daughter was? I thought it, but then it was like a quick fleeting thought, and it went away.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the interesting thing is the boy, Henry, that's actually her twin.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yep, that's her twin.
Wow.
So I thought that was I did kind of think that was cool. You know, Henry had a kind of come to Jesus moment on this episode that I'm not sure how I feel about, but
oh my gosh. That little kid, oh my God. And I knew it. I'm like, he ran away. I'm like, that little brat ran away. My gosh.
So yeah, and so we got to see a completely different side of why I just had a brain fart. Lucille. Not Lucille.
Negan?
Yes, Negan.
You know, okay, let me just speak on that real fast. When those scenes were up, I was angry because I'm like, I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to make us like Negan. They're trying to make us feel compassion for Negan. So when they don't kill him, people won't be outraged.
Okay, didn't work, but I did find it kind of interesting because I think this may be the very first time in a very long time the tables have been completely flipped on him where he has been helpless.
Mm-hmm.
And so, he's going, hey, we can negotiate. We can talk this through. I'm here for you. And it was nothing more than I don't think it was anything more than an act to save his own skin.
Yeah, I do think that too, but that whole story about his wife, I feel like they were trying to make us go easier on him, especially when he's like, I'll make things right, I promise. And then at the end, he's like, hey, the offer's open, and he leaves. I'm like, I think they're trying to make us like him more. Well,
and I knew about, because I knew that he had named his bat after his wife, because again, it's in the comics.
Yeah.
And I kind of, and I've known about that particular little backstory about him for a season and a half now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So it did nothing to change my opinion of Negan. All I got out of that scene was not sympathy for Negan, but I was like, ha ha ha, shoes on the other foot. Sucks, doesn't it? And I kind of liked it in a way because I think it was a little eye-opening for him to be on the other side of the bat, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoyed it. I was very disappointed she did not, I don't know, hit him with his own bat.
I wanted her to so bad, and when she started to and just stopped short of hitting him, I'm like, no, hit him with it. It would be great. I mean, even if you didn't kill him, it would be fabulous for me to see him just be hit one good time.
Honestly, I was hoping at the end, she retrieved the pictures, great. I wish that she had actually set the bat on fire.
Mm-hmm.
And because even if she let him live, she had everything taken away from her. And it doesn't matter that he didn't, okay that. The fact is he set up the consequences. He set up, this entire hierarchy. And he shouldn't have been surprised that it would happen. He is ultimately responsible because this is basically what he has taught them to do and to be.
And that is what life is. If you're the leader or a manager or a director, you're the leader. When someone goes down, stuff rolls downhill, dude. So guess what? When they fail, you fail first. So you are to blame. You sent him.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it would have been fitting for her to set the bat on fire. Let him live, but take away from him the one thing that he cherishes in this world, because she lost everything, and it would have been fitting.
I know.
In my opinion.
I agree with you. And that's why I kind of hated how that whole thing went down. I feel like, why did we even see this? Like, what was the point? I mean, other than I really genuinely feel like they were trying to make the audience at large not hate him as much as they did before.
Yeah. It didn't work for me.
Yeah. I still want him dead, but now I wholeheartedly feel like he won't die. He is not going to die.
Well, but I did also like out of this, the one thing I did like with this episode, we got a little bit more of an insight into Jada's. She's still an enigma, don't get me wrong. Yeah. But that trailer, I mean, the chaos of the junkyard and then her living quarters is very neat and
clean,
orderly,
minimalist.
And clean.
Yeah. And what kind of trailer has like skylights in it? I'm like, what?
I think from the look of it, I think it's actually one of those storage containers. I think the storage containers that you see dotted all over that compound. I think those are all the living facilities. I think that's what she's living in is a storage container that they have converted.
That makes sense. It makes total sense. Absolutely. But let's talk a minute about that helicopter, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
I was waiting. I'm like, when is that helicopter going to come back up? I knew, they gave us a little snippet of it. I'm like, that's going to come back eventually. But Negan's face, he's like, what's going on? What's going on?
And she knew that it was coming because she kept checking her watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And although I have to say that if the helicopter can't notice her without a flare, these people must be blind.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, they just had turned, so you'd think they'd see the smoke from the flare. Even if they look back for a millisecond, you've got to assume it's more than one person in the copter, at least two.
One would assume.
So...
And what her connection to it is, and are these people that she's interacted with, or just been in communication with, like, because she could have an entire arsenal of ham radios for all we know, hidden somewhere in that junkyard. Yeah, she could have satellite dishes. We don't know because we've only really seen that one space of it, and so we got a little bit more of a view. And we now know that they were more than what they appeared to be.
So since you have a little bit of knowledge into the comic books, have you heard the theory that people are throwing around? They're kind of saying this could be another angle to show that the Commonwealth group is around. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have, but I don't know. I mean, because we've got we have the one woman, Frankie? No.
Actually,
Georgie?
I think it is Frankie.
Is it Frankie?
I think
okay,
so.
So we've got her with the twins, giving out knowledge. And then we have this helicopter showing up. And so there's obviously something going on somewhere, that seems to be a little more together than what we've seen in Georgia.
Yeah. Yeah. And that tells me also that they're not far, because the fact that a helicopter comes to the junkyard and no one in Alexandria and none of the saviors has seen this helicopter, they must be not that far away, and they're like in a direct route every time.
Yeah. And obviously there has to be something going on, because they have a helicopter pad and everything else set up in the back.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it. We only know about it because Simon asked, what's up with that? So, and again, I mean, that junkyard could hold anything. It's hard to say. I mean, there's this mystery there, and, did she come, maybe was her people part of that group, with the helicopter, or did they make contact with them? I don't know. So it's hard to say.
Yeah, and I don't know how much of it they'll actually reveal, being that there's literally 2 episodes left.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that might have been, you could definitely see that Negan reassessed Jadis as soon as he saw that helicopter, because he could tell she knew it was coming. She was, because of the way that she had everything planned up. And I honestly think that her plan had been to, set off the flare, let them know, and as soon as the helicopter picked him up, drop the walker on him and walk away. But when she got left behind, I don't know, it's like she lost her nerve and she couldn't go through with it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, that was his point, to kind of talk her out of it, because she was so angry, He's like, look, I didn't destroy your photos. I didn't. Oh my God. I'm like, oh my God. He is like this sucker. And I'm like, he is going to talk his way out of there. There's no way he's not going to. I mean, I kind of knew that, but I really hope that she had got a couple in on him in the process. And he walked away uninjured, completely uninjured.
Yeah. But I do believe it, in her presence, it humbled him. He'll never admit this, out in public, because, he's Negan. But I think it was a humbling moment for him.
Maybe. Well, let's talk about him. Okay. Who do you think he picked up in that car?
Oh, the chick that lived when Dwight shot at her. Her.
You think it's Dwight's wife?
No. Remember during the firefight down back in Alexandria, he killed everyone except for that one chick? I can't remember her name. And she's never shown back up at the compound?
Yes.
I think it's her.
I don't know. I kind of wonder, like, at first I thought maybe it's Gregory. And then I thought maybe it's Dwight's wife. That would be odd and unusual. But, I feel like, being that they kept mentioning her name, she's going to show back up again. I mean, she has to, in some capacity.
Yeah. I hadn't even thought, she never even crossed my mind. The only 2 that really crossed my mind was Gregory and then the other chick. And for drama, I'm going to go with it's the other chick, because, then Dwight is outed and, so on and so forth. But we'll see. I don't know.
That was interesting. I'm like, But it was also kind of similar how they ended, like, the final scene with a car. Like, last week it was Jadis knocking him out in the car. And this week he's in a car picking some random person up. I'm like, oh, okay, we're back in the car again. Okay.
Yep, pretty much. Now, what did you think about Rick breaking his word? For the first time in this entire this entire run of episodes, he lied. Straight up. Said, broke his bond.
Yeah. I think that for Rick's character, that's unfortunate, but I'm not mad at him, honestly. I feel like, at the end of that episode, he did read the letter, and I feel like he's still redeemable. I don't think he's changed forever. I don't think he's beyond, the point of no return. I just think that he was just really, really not giving to whats.
Yeah. I think it is unfortunate that he did that. because of the longer term consequences. If those people came back with him and they could then parade those people, in front of the other sanctuary going, hey, there is redemption here. I think it would have gone a long way. I mean, they still had the rest of the ex-prisoners, but again, I think in the long run, it would have benefited them to actually bring them back rather than kill them. Except for the one guy. He did need to die.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really feel a way about that overall, only because, one, we already know, well, at least I strongly know, and I think you do too, that Negan is going to get a reprieve. So he's showing mercy by doing that, right? So he's going to redeem himself in that way, trying to honor his son in that way. I think that's going to happen. Technically, no one but him and Morgan know what happened there. Those people walked off, and who knows what happened to them.
Right. Oh, yeah. And it's not that. I mean, it's between him and Morgan will never talk of it. I know, as a character, Morgan won't. But I do believe that it may have been cathartic for Rick, but I think it was devastating for Morgan when he came back and realized Henry was alive.
Yes.
Because, he was on this quest because he thought Henry was dead.
Yeah.
And to find him alive and to find him no longer bloodthirsty, I think that's, Morgan is, he is having an existential crisis.
Yes. And you know what? I knew that they were going to be setting something up for him to make an exit one way or another because he's leaving. So they have to make it as tough on him as possible. So either he walks off Never Land, like I need to recoup and figure out life, or he's going to die. One or the other. Something's going to happen. Yeah. I don't know what. I don't think he's going to die, but I mean, I kind of,
because I'm kind of thinking, because we do know that when Morgan shows up on Fear the Walking Dead, that it's in a previous timeline, because Fear the Walking Dead is behind The Walking Dead. So
yes, I that's what I believe anyway. That's kind of what we've all been told. So we're going to assume, we're going with that assumption. But I've got to believe also that Morgan would never agree to go to that failing show without an out. Like, if this show sucks, I want back on my original show. So I can't believe that he would let them kill him off. That's probably the term. Like, I'll go, but you better leave the door open for me to come back. Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know, in a way, because there's been this huge emphasis on him all season. I don't die. Yeah. I don't die.
Yeah.
So it's almost, to me, that is a Walking Dead setup. He's gonna die.
Yeah. I hope not, though. I hope not.
Yep.
But you can never tell. I mean, you honestly can never tell. Like, they are good at the art of misdirection. They really got it down. So, I don't know. I'm holding out hope for Morgan. I mean, if they let stupid Negan live, they better let Morgan live. I mean, there's plenty of other characters to kill off. There's Dwight. There's Gregory. There's, I mean, I don't know. What's his face? Simon. There's a bunch of people to murder and kill off this show.
And let's not forget one of the ending scenes where they're sitting there in the building, and they're with the binoculars. They're like, "Ooh, we're gonna have to blow this place up, or we could kill the bullet maker."
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, not for nothing. I'm telling you, I would not mind if they killed him. I'm like, he's such a lowly person. Like, it would not hurt my feelings if he were to be dead. But I somehow think he'll probably end up back with the group somehow. Because he's so weak, they'll probably take pity on him at the last moment.
I don't know. I can see them doing it, but I'm hoping now that they do not. He is, even if he comes back, the fact is he has become even more craven, if that is even possible, than he was before. He is completely untrustworthy. He
is a liability.
He is he has things to offer. Again, being able to make the bullets, pretty cool, skill. But honestly, a trip to the library will teach you how to do that.
Yes. And who knows? Maybe it's in that book. as
Exactly.
well. So
You know.
he's a bigger liability than he is a use to them, because he will change his mind at the drop of a dime and be like, oh, well, sorry, not sorry.
It kind of blows my mind that not anybody here in their survival things has thought, ooh, we should go to the library.
Yeah.
Because, I'm here to tell you the library is full of very useful things like wood skills and how to make, gun or, bullets and a whole range of farming things and manufacturing things that are all in books, or even has thought to get a Boy Scout manual.
Yeah.
Okay, at the minimum.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm here to tell you.
Yeah, it would help. It really would. Yeah.
I have a book. I have two. One is a dangerous book for boys and a dangerous book for girls. And I'm here to tell you, if there's an apocalypse, I'm grabbing both of those books because they have some really handy stuff. Everything from Morse code to how to make a fire to how to dress animal skins. Mm-hmm. Okay? Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, a book would be really helpful in all of this. And no one has thought to go to the library. Mm-hmm. Or a bookstore. Come on, people. Anyway, so because at this point, a book would be way more reliable and useful than Eugene.
Yeah, Eugene is just the worst. They might kill him. They really might.
They might.
Yeah. So what do you think about Carol? I mean, Carol, she finally, I guess, I knew they were drawn, as we said, the lines were drawn back to her daughter. But I'm like, wow, I feel like she felt that she was finding her daughter, but not.
She even says, I was afraid, if I put myself out there that, I would lose myself again. She lost herself after she lost her daughter. And, it's been this real struggle for her. And she came back a better person. But then there was the whole, look at the flowers,
Yeah. So, yeah, but she even told him, she said, you know what, but if I did, I'd find myself again.
Yeah. But that was that realization that she had after she started to, right there, that crossroad where Morgan went one way and she went the other. She's like, you know what? If I continue to choose to believe that Henry is dead, she should have followed Morgan, because that was her concern. But at that point, she decided to open herself up to the possibility of hope.
Yeah.
And so that really kind of fundamentally changed how she was, feeling at that, because there's been a bit of, what's the word I'm looking for, with Carol? This, I want to say acceptance, but it's not acceptance. It's just, this kind of fatality, everything will be what it is. C'est la vie. There's nothing I can do to change the ultimate outcome. Everyone's going to die.
Yeah.
And so, now she's looking, with her finding Henry, there's the sense that, well, maybe everything can be okay. So I don't know. And of course, Henry, got the crap scared out of him. And
yeah, as he should.
Yeah. So I mean, there was the whole, he thinks he's all big and bad, and then basically gets run over by, the people, by the saviors. And then there was the zombies, and then, being stuck out and then leaving the compound because he was afraid or whatever. And, more zombies. And he realized, maybe I'm not as big and bad as I thought I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not Carl.
With all of that going on, did you notice that, we've mentioned before how Morgan flip-flops with his personality, right? Like he's one extreme or the other. And I kind of feel Carol sort of is as well. Like, don't get me wrong. When she's in the kind-hearted mind frame, she's not a dummy. She's not going to die, right? But, right now I feel like they've swapped again. So, he's all, everyone turns. Mm-hmm. That's it. And she's like, oh, I'm going to open my heart to hope again. And maybe this. So it's like they've almost switched spots again.
I mean, her, Carol, Morgan, and Rick, they're all on this, the spectrum, but they're never in the same place with each other. When one's crazy, the other one's calm, the other one's insane. And, when one's bloodthirsty, the other one's, all, peace and love. And they can never get it together. They are all on this different spectrum all the time. It's like they're on this big old wheel. And it's like, oh, you're going to become, I'll be crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, but they almost need it that way, though, just to maintain the balance. Because if they were all crazy or pacifist at the same time, oh, my God.
Yeah. So, yeah, it is something that I have noticed, that Carol, Morgan, and Rick all kind of take up these three different stances. And they all rotate through these same, you know, I guess, persona types, you know, as the seasons go on, but they just kind of just keep dialing clicking the dial, you know, oh, okay. So it is something that's been pretty consistent.
You know, I gotta say, even with Carol, like, making this new transformation, she is still one of my favorite characters on this show. I'm telling you, I would want her on my team should there ever be a zombie apocalypse. I don't care. Even when she's in her solitary leave me alone, I don't care. I love Carol's character.
Oh, yeah. Did you know that she almost died? In the show, they almost, at the prison. T-Dog was actually supposed to live, and Carol was supposed to die at the prison. Wow. And apparently T-Dog was such a disruption on the set, and nobody liked working with him. The writers wrote him off and let Carol live. So we almost lost Carol, and it was only because T-Dog had such a bad person. The actor himself had such a bad personality that she's gone on to be what she is right now.
Oh, man. That just goes to show it pays to be nice to your coworkers. Just saying.
That's right.
Yes. So let's talk a little bit about Michonne and Rick, because they actually had some significant moments as well in this episode. I really like Michonne. And, you know, before, I want to say maybe it was last season, I was mad that she was getting so mushy. Remember that carnival scene? I'm like, you almost died. Yeah. But now her concern for him, like, I don't find that weak like I did that one episode last season. I really like how she is, like, helping him. She is really helping him in more ways than he probably even realizes right now. Like, he's not totally homicidal because of her.
Yeah. Exactly. And she has literally been there. I mean, almost everyone on the show. I mean, Carol has lost a daughter, you know, and, everyone, Morgan has lost a son. So, I mean, both of those two can understand exactly where Rick is at. And it does surprise me a little bit that neither one of them has stepped up and been like, hey, how's it going? It does really shock me. But then again, right now, Morgan's in the homicidal phase, while Rick is in this, daze almost. It really is more of a daze than a rage. He's looking for something to make it better. And of course, the loss of a child under any circumstances, nothing can make it better. Yeah. And Carol has been has been closed off in the whole Henry thing. So it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that some of the characters that have recently lost children, couldn't come forward and help him. But Michonne again lost a child and a husband. So I mean, she can understand where he's coming from, and yeah, it's good to see her redirecting. Although that scene with Judith on the floor and the hat and the bag and him just sitting there like, oh God, it was sad,
Yeah, I mean, I noticed there was a lot of things going on with children in that episode. Like we mentioned, Rick and the Carl thing, and then Michonne bringing up her son, and we hadn't heard about her son in a long time. So
yeah, and Morgan brought up his son. Why did you bring me in?
Yes,
because my son was watching.
Exactly. So Morgan and his son, and then Carol with her daughter. Kind of like, yes, yeah,
yep. It was just plastered all over this episode. I mean, it wasn't a terrible episode. I really did like it. And like you said, it didn't really move the story forward, but it did. It gave us a lot of insight, or at least a peek into other things that probably needed to be addressed anyway. So. Aside from Jadis not pummeling or burning Lucille, I did enjoy it overall.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually had to watch it twice. Like the first time, I was trying to edit something and I'm like, this is boring. What's going on? And then I'm like, oh, wait, something interesting happened. I'm going to have to rewatch this from the beginning. So, so then after, The Talking Dead, I watched it again. I'm like, oh, okay, this isn't as bad as I thought. But it was just kind of like one of those slower episodes. Which I still liked it. It wasn't my favorite of this back half of the season, but it was needed. And I am concerned that we might get, being that the next episode is the episode before the finale, I really was hoping for some high action and stuff, but seeing the little snippet, I'm concerned, like, is this going to be another slow episode? Are we going to spend half of the episode with Rick not, doing anything but reading this letter? I'm like, what is going to happen?
No, I don't think so. I think there's going to be, because, we have, I know that with the previews that there is the, what's his name? Adam, is it? Who's with Oceanside, being attacked by zombies.
Oh man, I forgot about him when I saw that. I'm like, oh yeah, he's still out there.
Yeah. And I did see another sneak peek that had the Oceanside people kind of standing around him.
Okay.
So, there's that. And so maybe this is the way that they're going to get the Oceanside people in on it. I don't know. So
but
I
they're
think
boring, though. I'm not going to lie. All their scenes are boring to me.
So, but I think we're going to spend a little bit of time with Oceanside. We saw Negan, and, he's looking around, and, Dwight's like, so... what you been up to? That could mean anything. And then you see Dwight scribbling on a map.
Yeah.
And, so, preparations are being made for Hilltop. And, so, I mean, I think the next episode, while there may not be a lot of gunfire, I think it's going to be a fast moving episode.
I hope so.
I think so.
If anything, I hope it's like the one that was like 3 ago, I think, where we got to see, I feel like we saw like 3 or 4 different points of view in one episode.
Yeah. And that's what I'm hoping for. Because that's what I'm kind of getting from the 2 different previews I've already seen for next week. Because they're showing, Negan's group in Oceanside, and they're showing Rick, and then they're showing, a couple other things that are all going on, but they're all taking place in different locations. So this could be, like I said, I don't think it's going to be a shoot 'em up episode. I think that's going to be, the shoot 'em up is going to be the final, season finale.
Yeah.
But this is going to be the, everything is going to kind of go and rotate through, I hope anyway, as we see everyone's preparations for the final confrontation there.
I'm still holding out hope that Simon bites the dust in the next episode, because, Negan is back and he's like, keep it a secret that I'm here. And I'm like, ooh, I'm really holding out hope that he's going to come for Simon. Like, dude, it's game over for you.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's going to help the Hillside people or not. I don't know that. I do kind of wonder after Negan saw what Simon did to to Jadis's people, and at this point he knows that if he goes after Hillside or Hilltop, it's going to be the same thing, because these people have made it known we are not surrendering. This is not happening. So he's not, so he will be responsible for wiping out at this point 4 communities.
Yeah.
And he is supposed to be not about any of that. So I mean, there's Jadis's people, Alexandria has fallen, the kingdom has fallen, and if they take out Hilltop, that is 4 communities that are supposed to serve him.
Wasn't it Negan that took out all of the men from Oceanside?
Yes. Yep, he took all the men from Oceanside. And they're somewhere. Well, he didn't just kill them all. He took some as captives.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the Oceanside people come and they see their spouses or mothers or anything, maybe, there might be a turn there as well. But like I said, at this point, if they get rid of Hilltop, at this point, that means every group that supported the Sanctuary and fed them and brought them supplies and everything else will be gone.
Yeah.
There are no more communities to support his.
Yeah.
In fact, this community, to make it, they have to have these satellite communities that are contributing to his, because they don't scavenge. They don't go looking. They don't plant. They don't farm. They don't do any of those things. So
But steal.
Yeah, that's all they do is they steal. And without all these other groups to support him, he's done.
Yeah. Wow.
So
yeah, buddy. Oh my gosh, I am really curious to see what they're going to do with Negan's character now. Like, even though I hate it, I'm curious to see. They better not change that character's personality, because that's just too much for me.
Yeah, and like I said, I think maybe part of it too is, it wasn't even so much to make us. It may not have been entirely to make us sympathetic to Negan. It might have been to show that now that he has seen firsthand the absolute devastation of an entire community that came under his watch, his command, and he watched them. He watched Alexandria fall, and the kingdom fell, and now all we have is Hilltop left. And I'm wondering, a bit of calculation and a bit of, insight. Maybe he'll go, maybe we should not.
I don't know. He didn't give two craps when he was burning down Alexandria. He did not care.
I know.
So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird because, he was absolutely fine with burning down Alexandria, but he was legitimately upset when he heard that Jadis's people had been killed.
And see, I wonder if it's because her people were killed, or it was because Simon went against him.
I don't know. I think a bit of both, honestly, would be my guess.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate to give him too much credit, because at some point I still think he's really sneaky. You never can really tell what his motive is.
Yeah. I mean, he is cunning. He's not a brilliant tactician, obviously. He's cunning.
Yeah.
But he's good enough at what he does between intimidation and craftiness that he has managed to keep this, cobbled together system going. And no one really questioning the fact that he was taking their wives and taking their stuff and partly bravado and partly brutality, was the basis for this. And, Simon has, by killing Jadis's people, has basically declared war on Negan himself. I am better than Negan.
But Negan to me is like that cockroach that won't die. I mean, he's burned off several of his lives already. I mean, he almost bit the dust with Rick. He almost bit the dust. He could have bit the dust with Jadis. I mean, he just keeps on surviving. It's crazy.
So it's, again, I mean, especially, and here's the other thing, that even if Negan wants to go and attack Hilltop and continue with the plan as planned, the fact is he has a split in his own community, because Simon has already gathered is starting to gather his like-minded people, and they're behind him. So there is a genuine rift right now between Simon's group and Negan's group, and it's hard to say when Negan comes back who's going to choose what side, because Negan has been failing here recently. Things have not been going well. The sanctuary has been attacked. They've lost a whole bunch of bullets and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and let's not forget that let's not forget that a lot of those people only support Negan out of fear. Not that they actually think that he's the right person to follow.
Exactly. So, people are losing their fear of him because he has been failing. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I have no idea how they're going to have this run next week. But it should be, I'm hoping it will be interesting. Yeah. I have high hopes.
I do too. I mean, the back half of this season has been better than it's been in a long time, in my opinion. So I'm hoping they finish strong.
Yeah, me too.
Please.
Please.
All right. I think we're done with this. You think so?
I think we are done, baby.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone that's listening live. And for those of you listening after the fact, thanks for streaming and downloading. And we will catch you guys again here on Monday next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
If you enjoyed today's The Walking Dead special live episode and you would like to show your support, there are a few things you can do. Head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a positive 5-star review. You can follow both myself and Lisa on Twitter. Please follow the Shelf Addiction podcast on Spreaker, the only place where you can listen live and get broadcast notifications so that you never miss a live episode. Most importantly, you can share this podcast with friends and family that enjoy The Walking Dead. Thank you for listening, and until next time, happy viewing.